Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you tonight. India's GDP growth in the second quarter smashes estimates. Growth accelerates by 7.6% against the estimate of 7% and RBI estimate of 6.5%. Manufacturing goes 14% in Q2, driving the GDP, even as services growth remains tepid. Exit polls point to a tight race in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Majority of the polls give a slight edge to the BJP in both states. Exit polls predict a Congress victory in Chhattisgarh and Telangana. Almost all polls expect the Congress to retain power in Chhattisgarh. Majority of the polls expect Congress to oust the BRS government in Telangana. Consolidation on the Lal Street as the sensex and the nifty end with marginal gains. Rupee ends at a record low against the dollar. $1 now costs 83 rupees and 40 paise. Tata Technologies makes a stellar debut on the Lal Street, listing at a premium of 140%. Gandhar Oil lists at a 76% premium. Fedbank Financial Services lists at a cement major. Ultratech Cement agrees to buy Kesoram Industries in an all-stock deal. Ultratech will issue 1 share for every 52 shares of Kesoram. The Defence Acquisition Council approves weapons purchase worth over 2 lakh crore rupees. Of this, 98% will be sourced from domestic industries. Israel and Hamas extend the Gaza ceasefire by a day. Israeli military maintains that North Gaza remains a war zone. Hamas releases more hostages in return for Palestinian prisoners, including prominent activist Ahid Tamimi. US Secretary of State Blinken says the current ceasefire is producing results. Elon Musk issues a defiant profanity-laced message to advertisers, boycotting his social media platform. X claims advertisers are trying to blackmail him. Large companies, including Apple and Disney, stopped advertising on X after Musk promoted tweets which the White House described as anti-Semitic. UN Secretary General calls for phasing out of fossil fuels within a reasonable time frame on the first day of the COP28 climate summit in Dubai. Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to speak tomorrow. D-Mart's Radhakishan Damani tops the Hurun list of 200 self-made Indian entrepreneurs of the millennium. The founders of Flipkart, Zomato, Swiggy and Dream11 make it to the top 5. Well, straight to the day's trading action. We saw a late recovery on the Lal Street, which saw the markets end largely in the green. The Nifty and the Sensex ending mildly higher. The Nifty Bank, though, snapped its 4-day gaining streak. That index ended mildly lower, but the mid-cap rally continues. That is the story as far as our markets are concerned. The mid-cap index up 290 points. That's the market snapshot. But let's talk about what's happening in the money market. The rupee hitting a record low against the dollar. And dealers say dollar demand has come in from an equity fund that was selling and buying dollars. $1 now costs 83 rupees and 40 paise. So that's the story as far as the money markets are concerned. Now, in a big surprise, and a good one at that, India's GDP has grown by a scorching 7.6% in the second quarter. This is much higher than any estimate. The CNBC TV18 poll forecast of 7.03% and also higher than the Reserve Bank's forecast of 6.5%. Lata is here with the numbers and the analysis. Lata, very impressive growth.
Yes, that's right. The second quarter GDP number is a blistering 7.6%. And now if you take the April-September number, the first half has grown at 7.7%. Can't remember last when India grew so well, perhaps in the 2004 to 2008 period. It's been helped largely and surprisingly by manufacturing. Agriculture has been a disappointment at 1.2 and services have been tepid. You know, trade, hotels, transport and communication. A big services sector has grown by just 4.3%. Financial services by only about 6%. And government, public administration and other services by only 7.6. I'm saying only 7.6 because it's not even as good as the overall GDP. But manufacturing grown at 13.9, construction 13.3, and electricity, power, utilities 10%, mining 10%. So the entire industry segment is the one that has pushed the economy higher. India was always a services-led economy, but this quarter has been different. Just a word on GDP from the demand side. I mean, agriculture industries from the output side. From the demand side, personal final consumption expenditure is a disappointment. It's grown by only 3.1%, but government final consumption expenditure has grown 12.3% and gross fixed capital formation by a handsome 11%. So that part of the economy in terms of government consumption and in terms of capex is doing very well. Personal consumption and services like trade still need to pick up, but all told, a blistering number is going to lead to an upgrade of India across equity markets and by economists as well.
Well, blistering number indeed, and Prime Minister Modi reacting to the sharp rise in GDP growth, tweeting saying these numbers display the resilience and strength of the Indian economy in the midst of testing times globally. He also added that the government is committed to ensuring fast-paced growth to create more opportunities, rapid eradication of poverty and improve the ease of living for people. That is the Prime Minister's reaction there on GDP growth. Meanwhile, the Chief Economic Advisor says he sees an upside to the FY24 GDP target of 6.5%. Listen in.
In terms of the projections, therefore, obviously these numbers impart a certain upside to the 6.5% estimate for real GDP growth in the current financial year. But we will have to work the numbers to see what kind of upside that this current numbers impart for the full year estimate. So until then, we will keep the estimate at 6.5%, except to signal that we are now probably more comfortable with this number than we were before.
Well, that is the Chief Economic Advisor. Coming up at 9:30, Lata will decode the GDP numbers with top economists right here on CNBC TV18. Well, back to the markets. A stellar debut for Tata Technologies. The stock opened at 1,200 rupees and listing at 140% premium to the issue price of 500 rupees. In fact, it subsequently jumped threefold from its IPO price to 1,400 rupees. With a market cap of over 53,000 crores, Tata Technology is now the 9th most valued Tata Group firm. Its bumper listing has boosted the group's market cap to a new high of over 26 lakh crore rupees. Rima standing by now with the details. What a stellar debut for Tata Technologies, Rima.
This has been one blockbuster opening for Tata Technology. The stock listed at a price of 1,200 rupees per share versus an issue price of 500 rupees, giving it a listing day premium of 140%, making it the best listing since November of 2021, when Latent View had listed with a premium of 169%. One of the drivers for the demand rush were the undemanding valuations. So now, how do the valuations stock up after the stock has more than doubled? Now, at the listing price of 1,200 rupees per share, the stock is being offered at 50 to 55 times forward premium, FY25 PE. It's still at a discount to KPIT Technology, which is at 65 times, but it's now become more expensive than an L&T Technology or Tata Elxsi. It's two other peers. But when we compare the valuations, we need to take into account growth. Now, KPIT Tech has been growing faster than Tata Technology, and even this year, KPIT Tech has guided for a 37% top-line growth, which is, again, possibly going to be faster than what Tata Tech is going to grow. These are the growth rates. In the first half of the year, KPIT Tech has grown at 51%. Tata Tech has been at close to 28%. Last year, the growth rate of KPIT Tech was 27%, again beating that of Tata Technology, though the margin profile of these two companies have been pretty similar. Now let's move on to the pros and cons, right? Now, the biggest pro for Tata Technology, one was the valuations at the time of the issue price. But the second one has been the Tata brand. And thirdly, the steady valuations. The company has been growing at about 25-30 times over the last 2 years. Also, the margins for the company have been improving. The margins for the company were about 16.2% 3 or 4 years ago, and now they've improved to about 18 to 19%. And finally, this was a pure offer for sale. The company didn't raise any money which went into the company, and that's because they have cash. The company told us the net cash in the company's books is close to about $150 million. But some concerns which have been raised by the analysts to round this off is that there's too much dependence on Tata Motors and JLR, its two anchor clients. And one more name, VinFast. It's a Vietnamese EV player, one of the top clients for Tata Technology and a big driver for their growth. That stock has seen a near 80% fall in its share price this year. So given its dependence on its top 5 clients, any slowdown in the financials of their top clients could be a bit of a concern.
It's improvements in productivity, it's improvements in span of control and our people pyramid, but the biggest contributor will be offshore. or offshoring of services. You know, today our offshoring is about 50-50. Given the type of business that we're involved with, particularly our ability to be able to take on turnkey product development, we think we can get the 50-50 to about 65-70. We don't ever think that it's going to get to the 80-20 or the 90-10, again, because of the importance of managing the stakeholders onshore. But we think that, that as we progress from 50-50 to 65-35 or 70-30, we think that that will drive incremental improvement in margins. You know, so we're looking at 30-40 basis point improvement on a year-on-year basis.
Well, that's Tata Tech, and from one bumper listing to another, Gandhar oil refinery listed at a 75% premium to its issue price. The stock opened at 298 rupees on the NSE against its IPO price of 169 rupees a share. The company's 3-day IPO was subscribed 65 times.
Volume growth will be in the range of 10-12% once the capacity is on stream, and if you the incremental capacities that are going up would lead to an additional revenue of around 1,000 crores. So the contracts are renewed on annual basis. It's a volume fixed contract, and the pricing are floating as per the index. So the renewal of the contracts will come. If the negotiations are already in place, are already ongoing. For the coming year.
And shares of Fed Bank Financial Services closing flat following a weak debut on the Lal Street. The stock listed at a 2% discount, but it did manage to rebound in intraday trade, closing marginally above its IPO price of 140 rupees. Now, CNBC TV18 Newsbreak has been confirmed. The board of Kesoram Industries has approved the merger of its cement business with Ultratech Cement in an all-stock deal valued at over 5,300 crore rupees. Shareholders of Kesoram Industries will get 1 share of Ultratech Cement for every 52 shares held by them. The deal will give Ultratech ownership to Kesoram's integrated cement units in Telangana and Karnataka. Shares of Ather Industries extended losses for the second day after a fire broke out at the company's manufacturing facility in Surat. As per reports by Reuters, 6 workers have been killed and 1 worker is missing. A statement from the company has said that 25 people are currently injured. The fire was caused by a massive blast in a storage tank. The Defence Acquisition Council has approved the capital acquisition proposals worth over 2 lakh crore rupees. The Defence Ministry has said 98% of the total procurement will be sourced from the domestic industries. The council, headed by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, has also approved the procurement of light combat helicopters and light combat aircraft from HAL. The acquisition of towed gun system to replace the Indian field gun has also been cleared. Polling season is officially over. Polling for all 119 assembly seats in Telangana took place today. It's a 3-way battle between the BRS, the BJP and the Congress. All eyes now on December 3rd when the results to the 5 state assembly elections will be announced. But all eyes today on the exit polls, and Parikshit is here to take us through the key findings. Parikshit, what are the polls suggesting?
Well, over the last 1 hour, we've been looking at different channels, seeing what different pollsters have to say, and one thing seems to be clear, Shireen, that everyone is talking about that the average person in these 5 states has voted for what really matters to them, how this election really changes their life.
So local factors.
Local factors have really played a big role. How does this really explain the national picture? We will have to wait and see. But clearly lots to talk about in all these states. Yes, the election in MP, Rajasthan, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram finally over. The results for all of them would be announced this Sunday. But ahead of that, here are results of the exit polls that we've been speaking about. CNBC TV18 has compiled these results for you. A quick caveat, exit polls may go wrong as they have gone wrong sometimes earlier in the past as well. First to Rajasthan, where exit polls are betting on the BJP returning to power. As the state has historically changed parties every election, 199 of the 200 seats in the state went to polls. All exit polls are forecasting the BJP to come back to power after a gap of 5 years. The magic number is 101. Now to neighbouring Madhya Pradesh, which promises to be a cliffhanger. The BJP and the Congress heading towards a photo finish. Today's Chanakya poll is, however, an outlier. Remember, the Congress had formed the government after the election. Last time, however, it collapsed later when a number of MLAs crossed over to the BJP. Telangana promises to be a cliffhanger as well. The Bharat Rashtra Samiti tally may reduce significantly. The CNX has given a complete majority to the Congress. The BRS, of course, making a strong statement saying that all these exit polls will be proved wrong. In Chhattisgarh, all polls are giving the Bhupesh Baghel-led Congress the edge. Today's Chanakya again giving Congress a thumping majority of 57 seats. Finally to Mizoram now, where none of the polls are giving the ruling MNF or the Congress a complete majority. So once again, Shireen, one thing we've been reading everywhere in all these exit polls is that freebies, welfare schemes offered by different manifestos, different parties, has played a big role in the election.
Absolutely. It is the local factors that are at play, at least as far as the state elections are concerned. Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Remember, these are just exit polls. It is on the 3rd of December that we will know which way the votes have actually gone. Now, in what could cast a shadow over India-US diplomatic ties, American prosecutors have charged an Indian national in connection with an assassination plot against a Sikh separatist leader. Further, America says that an Indian government official was directing the plot. US has refrained from sharing the name of the intended target and only highlighted that the person in question is a US citizen who runs a pro-Khalistan organization that has been banned by India. Now, this comes days after reports said that US authorities filed a murder plot against Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, head of the Sikhs for Justice organization in the US. The organization was banned in India in 2019. India has responded to the charges, saying that the allegations raised by America are a matter of concern. Speaking to reporters, MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that such acts are contrary to the Indian government's policy.
The news coming out of the United States further underscores what we've been talking about from the very beginning, which is that India needs to take this seriously. The Indian government needs to work with us to ensure that we're getting to the bottom of this. This is not something that anyone can take lightly. Our responsibility is to keep Canadians safe.
As regards the case against an individual that has been filed in a US court, allegedly linking him to an Indian official, this is a matter of concern. We have said, and let me reiterate, that this is also contrary to government policy. The nexus between organized crime, trafficking, gun running, and extremists at an international level is a serious issue for law enforcement agencies and organizations to consider. And it is precisely for that reason that a high-level inquiry committee has been constituted, and we will obviously be guided by its results.
Well, that is the MEA responding to the charges being made. Now, here's the latest in the Israel-Hamas war. Israel's ceasefire in its war with Hamas will continue for another day. The current extension is for 24 hours. In fact, the decision came just a few minutes before the ceasefire was set to end. Israel's Prime Minister has said that since a number of women and children were released, the pause will continue. Hamas has freed 16 hostages in exchange for 30 Palestinian prisoners. Last night, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the current ceasefire was producing results and that the US hopes to see that this continues. Up next on India Business Hour, D-Mart's Radhakishan Damani tops the Hurun list of 200 self-made Indian entrepreneurs of the millennium. The founders of Flipkart, Swiggy and Dream11 make it to the top 5. You can catch all of CNBC TV18's news and updates on WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Elon Musk has slammed advertisers that have left the social media platform X in a profanity-laced outburst, warning that the advertising boycott will kill the company. Musk, while speaking at an event in New York, accused advertisers of trying to, and I quote, blackmail him, even hinting out at Disney chief executive Bob Iger. This comes after large companies, including Apple and Disney, stopped advertising on X after Musk promoted tweets which the White House has described as anti-Semitic.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
But
go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
We just felt that the association with that position and Elon Musk and X was not necessarily a positive one for us, and we decided we would pull our advertising.
And
we are now allowing entities at the company to use X as a platform to communicate. ABC News is a good example of that. ESPN, another. We use it.
But do you anticipate this is forever?
I haven't readdressed it since the decision was made.
Well, Bob Iger versus Elon Musk. Now, delegates and leaders from across the world arrived in Dubai for COP28, the annual conference on climate change. The UN Secretary General has called for phasing out fossil fuels within a reasonable time frame. UAE, the host of the COP28, has been under scrutiny after reports emerged that the summit's Emirati president used his role at the negotiations to pursue fossil fuel deals. Moreover, a cloud of mistrust also hovers around developed nations' commitment on climate finance. Here's for the testament to India's exploding startup space. 400 business founders feature on the IDFC First Bank and Hurun list of top 200 self-made entrepreneurs of the millennium. And these 200 companies have a cumulative value of over 30 lakh crores, which is equivalent to the GDP of Denmark. Kiran Khatri has more. Kiran, take us through who's made the list, who's among the top 10.
Thank you, Shireen. At the top of this list is Radhakishan Damani, the man behind the supermarket chain D-Mart, which has a market value of over 2 lakh crores. Now, this is not technically a startup, but the other 5 that follow are from India's startup ecosystem. At number 2 are Binny Bansal and Sachin Bansal of Flipkart with an equity value of 1.2 lakh crores, followed by Deepinder Goyal of Zomato with a market cap of over 86,000 crores. At number 4 are Dream11 founders Bhavit Sheth and Harsh Jain. They share the number 4 spot with Swiggy Sri Harsha Majeti and Nandan Reddy. Razorpay's Harshal Mathur and Shashank Kumar follow close behind. Some of the other startups near the top of the list include Cred, Paytm and Zerodha. Among the top 10 companies on the list, 8 are from the startup space. Of the 400 founders on this list, 20 are women, led by Nykaa's Falguni Nair. Some of the other women entrepreneurs include off-business co-founder Ruchi Kalra, Mamaearth's Ghazal Alag, Sugar's Vinita Singh and Akko's Ruchi Deepak. The youngest entrepreneur on the list is 21-year-old Kevalya Vora, the co-founder of Zepto, followed by 25-year-old Bharat Pay co-founder Shashwat Nakrani. One-fourth of the companies on this list are listed. The largest among these are D-Mart's Avenue Supermart, Zomato, Max Healthcare, Paytm, Nykaa. Clearly, India's startup space is buzzing and creating a lot of wealth in the process because 68 of the 200 companies on this list are unicorns. Also, 108 of the founders also feature on Hurun's India Rich list. Thank you, Shireen.
All right, Kiran, many thanks for joining us. That's the self-made list that Hurun has put together of millionaires in India. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. The news will continue right here on CNBC TV18. We're back in a moment.